Well, welcome to our next episode of Coffee and Convos. Tonight, we're sans coffee. No coffee tonight, but we do have plenty of convos. You'll notice that we have 3 guests with us tonight, and we are talking about Red Shield, and we are talking about what those Red Shield dollars do that we have been collecting over the past while, most specifically in the month of May. And those Red Shield dollars go towards, in part, the Just Brass program. And so we've got 3 people here that have been involved in that program, and I'm just going to introduce them now. We have Josh Mills here, Chappy Josh from Seville Road State School, and also Karina State School. Mm-hmm. And we have Peter Kleinschmidt.
Exactly right.
Oh, that's awesome. Peter Kleinschmidt, and he is actually the Just Brass tutor for this program here at Carindale Salvos. And we have Luke Terracini here, who's our Next Gen coordinator, and he's been involved off and on. You've worn many hats over the course of this Just Brass program since we started, haven't you?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes at the same time.
Sometimes multiple hats, that's right. Multiple hats, all good. As I said, Just Brass is supported by Red Shield, and so we just wanted to talk a little bit about that and what your guys' role is in that program, and just give you guys out there just a little bit of a window into what the Red Shield dollars do. So we're going to kick it off with Luke, and Luke's just going to give us a little bit of an overview of what Just Brass is in a nutshell.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, it's the Salvation Army going into schools, local schools, and providing free brass tuition to students, which is traditionally not a free program in schools. Just providing that free tuition, and then we bring them back for a band practice and afternoon tea, and it's a bit of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, it has been fun, hasn't it? It's working with kids is always a blast, and you never know what's going to happen next, right? It's always unpredictable.
Especially when you give them an instrument.
Yeah, that's right. When you give them an instrument, that's right. But it's been absolutely amazing so far, and we're so pleased to be a part of it. And it's a program that exists all over Australia. Hey.
Yeah, and other countries as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So good, so good, so good. We have with us Peter, and Peter is our Just Brass tutor. And so, Peter, I'd love for you to just share with us a little bit about what you do as a part of this program. Maybe reflect upon your time thus far at the school and here at the hall and what that's looked like. And and then maybe a little bit of a reflection on this COVID business and what it's looked like during that time, because it's looked very different, hasn't it, recently?
Yeah, well, like Luke said, playing a brass instrument, it's not something that you get to do for free. You know, there's a lot of cost associated with it, and so it's been really great that we've been able to put up this program where, you know, I'll head into the school on a Wednesday, teach the kids some lessons on their instruments. You know, we're talking cornets, baritones, trombone, your John Philip Sousa instruments, right? You know, it's really great to see them develop. You know, it's such a fascinating thing to all of these kids to pick up an instrument, some of them for the first time, and, you know, to start out on their music making journey. And, you know, I'm really privileged that I see the end of that journey as well. And it's a real privilege to see both sides of that. And, you know, so on a Wednesday I'll go into Seville Road State School and teach a couple of lessons, and then Luke and I will bus the kids back, which is always a fun experience on the buses. Yeah. We'll bring them back to the Army building here and have a bit of afternoon tea, like Luke said, and play a game or two, and then we'll have a nice big group band session. You know, sometimes break it in half to kind of stream it a little bit more, aim it a bit more at the level that the kids are at.
Yep.
And that they have a great time doing it. You know, it's super fun for them.
We have other kids join us as well. Not just
There's other kids that join us as well. You know, it's not just the Seville Road State School kids.
Because we have kids from Carindale Salvos that join in that rehearsal.
Yes.
Hey. Yeah, and that's always a great thing, and it's just that building of relationships, between kids from the school and kids from the Corps, and that's really, really good.
Yeah, and we have a great group of volunteers who come and help on the Wednesday afternoon for band practice as well.
Yeah.
You know, helping out with the kids. So,
some of which are from our local band here at Carindale Salvos.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what it was like pre-quarantine.
Pre-quarantine, yeah. So now during quarantine has been a little bit different.
It's been a little bit more difficult. Obviously, there's no band practice. You can't have a group of us in a building at one given time. So that's kind of been pushed away, which is a bit of a shame. But we've set up a Google Classroom, and a Google Classroom is essentially it's kind of like a Facebook page, but it's built for one specific purpose. And this specific purpose was for me to share videos of me teaching the kids certain songs, certain parts of the instrument that, might be a recap of what we've done last term. It might be a little bit more of an extension. And so they've had the opportunity to go on in their own time onto the Google Classroom and say, oh, look, there's this one's 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
I've got time for that. I'll have a go at this one.
Yeah,
nice. This one's only 1.5 minutes long. I don't have much time. I'll just have a go at this one. And so there's been that breadth of opportunity for them to choose kind of where they wanted to go. And I've had conversations with other Just Brass tutors from different corps, not only in Australia but in New Zealand as well. We've had group conference calls talking about what people are doing. It's really interesting to see what people have done.
Nice.
To overcome the issue of not being able to have people in a building together.
Creativity comes to the surface, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When we're kind of suppressed or when we're limited in what we can do, the mind starts going and the creativity and thank goodness for technology. Which we're using right now. That we could use it for Just Brass and that instruction could continue. Exactly.
I had a conversation with a fellow teacher and he said, imagine if this had happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 15 years ago. We'd have no hope.
No.
We'd just have to shut everything down and we'll just wait until it's over. So,
Yeah, and so obviously there will be a time coming soon. I mean, school is back in session.
Yes.
After that break. And kind of resuming as per normal, and tutoring is still resuming at the school. We haven't met here for a rehearsal, but the time is coming when we'll be able to get back together and do that. And that'll really be a great thing to be able to get back together and do that safely, social distancing and all of that. We're not 100% sure when that's going to be, but we hope it'll be soon.
Yeah, hoping for maybe early next term. Just have to see, what the government says, what the risk management's telling us to do.
We're in the midst of doing some risk management, and we're talking with the Salvation Army and hearing from the government and so on. So we'll make sure we judge ourselves accordingly and be as safe as we can in that space. Yeah, good. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. It's great to get a window into what things look like in Just Brass when it comes to tutoring. Chappy Josh.
Yeah.
You're here with us. You are the chaplain at Seville Road State School and also Carina State School, but this relationship is more specific to Seville Road.
Yeah.
And it started, I don't know if you remember, Josh, but it started with a conversation.
It started with an email.
Yeah, it started with an email, that's right. And I think you emailed and wanted to make a connection, and then we went for coffee.
We did,
and then we got talking about stuff.
There.
And it just went on, and it's taken off. And it's been a program that, Luke, you can attest to this, we've been trying to get off the ground at Carindale Selvos for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so, it's hard not to look at this as a God orchestrated thing. That we moved here from Canada, and Chappy Josh at that point in this
was still fresh in the role.
Fresh in the role, has connected with us, and then everything has just gone from there. And we had a real struggle to find a tutor for a while, and Luke, that's where you stepped in. You were tutoring for a while and wearing that hat and
6 months,
6 months, and wearing the next gen hat and wearing so a lot of responsibilities with that. And then Peter came along as an answer to prayer. I mean, we got together as a church and we prayed for you to be in this. And I think God knew, and God has this wonderful timing of pulling things together in a certain way. So we're really grateful that it all started with a conversation with Chappy Josh. So Josh, wondering if there might be some people that are watching out there from different countries. I mean, in Australia, chaplaincy in schools is still very common. In some other parts of the world, not so much. Yeah. So can you tell us at the beginning just a little bit about what your role is as a chaplain? What do you do there?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, my role is I'm in a school for the social, emotional and spiritual support of students, staff and the wider community. And what that looks like varies, insanely from day to day. So it's everything from just one-on-one check-ins with kids to see how they're going, see how they're coping with, all this stuff through COVID, even just coping with school. If there's anything going on at home that they just want to talk about, it's just me trying to be a safe and approachable person for kids to be able to talk to. Same thing, I'll be checking in with teachers every day I'm at school just to see how they're going, because they also have been struggling through all of this with, having to all of a sudden teach online and that's not what they're trained to do, so that's been quite stressful for them. And then also for the wider community, so I was checking in with families to see how they're coping, and so it's a very broad thing. It's everything from delivering food hampers to families when they need it, to even trying to help source even just shoes if their shoes have worn out. It's a really broad role for these kids, and it's just meeting them wherever they're at and just trying to help them live the best life they can live.
Yeah, and you've been working with kids for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, so
Even
I've done bits and pieces. So I've been involved in church youth ministries and kids ministries for 10 years now, close to it, around about that. And then before this was working with kids down the snow and all sorts of things, but generally with kids and teenagers. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, if you were to get to know Chappy Josh, he absolutely smashes the role and enjoys the role, doesn't he? You guys have experienced that.
Yeah.
He's such a solid guy, and we really appreciate you and our partnership that we've been able to build. So chaplaincy has looked a little bit different. I mean, you've still been at school all the way through, because
Correct,
some people have still been going to school, the kids
Yep.
of essential workers. And so how's that looked a little bit different for you? Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so generally we've had about 10 to 15% of students attending school, and that's been pretty average across the whole time and across the state as well. And as you said, we've had students of essential staff members and essential personnel at school, but generally a lot of the kids that I work with have still been attending school.
Right.
So often those kids, it wasn't just those essential students that were going to be at school, it was also those who either may not have been able to engage as effectively online, they may not have had access to the online technology.
Right.
So some of those have been invited to continue coming to school. So we've had some of them still at school, but even those, for the ones that weren't, it's been a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
Weekly phone call check-ins. Some of my days were literally spent with most of it on the phone, just calling family to family to family, just checking in, seeing how they're going. If there was any updates on their situation from the week, and then same thing with the students that were at school, was just checking in, seeing how they're going, how they're coping with things, because it wasn't like their regular teaching at school even. It was, quite often classes combined together.
Yes.
Just to be able to, and then still spread out. So even when they're combined, it was like 6 kids in a classroom.
Right. Yeah.
And that was then, all of year 5 and year 6, and sometimes some of year 4s as well, and it's 6 students.
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean, this relationship between Carindale Selvos and Seville Road has kind of culminated in this Just Brass program.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that when we started talking about that, you were excited about that. And I know the principal of the school, Karen,
Yeah,
she was excited about that.
absolutely, yeah.
And it just propelled and just kind of took off. So talk to us a little bit about the Just Brass program in your context and what you feel is helpful, how you feel it's helpful to the students, helpful to the school.
Yeah, so look, it's a brilliant little program that is just an opportunity for these students that sometimes academics isn't their strong point. So for some of them, they just need another outlet where they can feel confident and feel like they actually exceed in their achievement. So this is one aspect where they can do that. This is a program that we haven't, picked students and gone, we'll pick these couple of students and these few students.
Yeah.
This is a program that's available for anyone. Anyone who wants to be a part of this is welcome to be a part of it. And that's always been the biggest thing for us, is just everyone's invited to join if they want to. So we get things where kids are working as a team. We get some kids that you often don't get a lot of interaction between some other students or even some others in younger grades. But here we've got an opportunity where we've got 20 to 25 students from our school working together in a big band, for their big rehearsals, and they actually have to work together.
Yeah.
It's not just you can just wave at them across the way. It's no, you're playing your instrument and you're working with them to provide different sounds that work together.
Yeah, it's teamwork, yeah.
So it's something that it's something to encourage them, because they'll need that later on in their life, and that's something that this is an opportunity for them to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And also, it's also, it's a really great cultural experience for them. There'll be a kid who'll come in and say, had a really bad day today, but they still get to do just brass.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
they get that
still
outlet.
get that outlet. It's still fun for them. They still look forward to it, no matter what else has
Absolutely, yeah.
happened.
Yeah, it's the building of relationship, right?
It is
Right?
exactly.
It's relationship between some of the kids that we have here at Carndale Selvos and the kids from Silver Road.
Yep.
It's building relationship between the kids themselves at Silver Road, and then it's building relationship. I mean, you have built probably. You obviously are into relationships no matter what, but the Just Brass program just an added part of that relationship building, and the rest of the people that are involved, all of our volunteers, people of our core, just building relationships with parents of students and also students, right? I mean, we know relationship is just the backbone of society, and I think we've realized more so during this lockdown that it's just even more
It's a time of community.
essential, right? Connection, community, relationship. So good. So this is, yes, it's a music program, but it's also a relationship building program.
And
right?
it's providing the kids more positive role models in their lives as well. Because as you were saying, you've got so many volunteers and so many other people that are involved in this program.
Yeah.
There are so many people that they can be talking with and that they can see what it's like to, you've got people that come from the band here, from you guys, who have been playing for a really long time. So these kids are able to see what they could achieve if they continue to work with this.
Yeah, they kind of see the end
They
result.
see the end result. Yeah,
that's what
absolutely.
you were
They
saying
can,
earlier.
they can see what it is. It's they can see where they're at now. With some of these kids, as you said, have never picked up an instrument.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, as Luke was doing their first few lessons, it was just some of the noises coming out of that room were a very interesting room. But then it got to even just their first concert at the end of their first term. I think they'd only had 6 or 7 lessons.
6, I think.
6 lessons or so, and you could hear the tunes coming out of them.
You could already see the difference.
It was still, you could still tell that they had, were still learning this thing. But after 6 lessons of them never picking up an instrument, never even, making a sound out of these instruments, and how hard that is to even learn the notes, to learn the finger positions, how to breathe properly through these instruments. And after 6 or 7 lessons, they were able to play songs.
Yeah.
And then we went for a second term, and now those kids were doing different parts. They weren't just playing the same melody or anything. They were doing separate parts to put them together to build something
You can
even
see
more
it.
spectacular.
You can really see it as a process, can't you?
Absolutely.
I remember Jared Prolix, who's also been involved in this, getting it off the ground, and been trying to get it off the ground for many years. And he played an integral role in the origins of this here at Carndale Selvos. So thank you, Jared. But Jared has also said that music instruction just opens up the mind of students in other ways. So, learning music makes students better students in other areas.
There's good academic research to show that musicians are more successful academically. Throughout school. There's good evidence to show that. So
Jared, I know Jared speaks about that all the time. So that's such a good thing. Chappy Josh, one last thing for you. Talk to us a little bit about how churches can support you as a chaplain.
Yeah, and look, one of the biggest and that's the most important is prayer. Look, we know that prayer can cause miracles and can change so many things, and just the prayer support from people is just so incredible. For every chaplain, doesn't matter where they are, any field, any high school, any school, just anywhere in general. Prayer for chaplains is incredible. It's one of the biggest things that we need. We can't do this role without God. And we need it to get through each of our days some days.
Well, that's right. We need a whole lot of prayer, don't we, Peter? Sometimes.
So, prayer is definitely one of the most helpful. They can also donate towards their chaplains. I know for our schools, we get government funding for a lot of our role, but not all of it. So we only get about 1.5 days a week from government funding.
So it supplements that rest.
So the rest of it then comes from community, from churches, from individuals donating. So that's always a possibility if people are wanting to. But as I said, prayer is the biggest one. Prayer. We know that even just praying for funding can make it appear out of anywhere. So prayer is the biggest. But even sometimes just if you've got a chaplain in the area and you want to help out, send them a message, see if they could use a volunteer for anything, or we often have breakfast clubs, we've often got lunch programs, we've got all sorts, well, not at the moment, but we've often got all sorts of programs happening. Like I've got our breakfast clubs just slowly starting back up again with just me doing it at the moment because we can't have our volunteers back on site yet. But even just seeing if you could help for a morning to serve breakfast to some kids or anything like that.
Good. You heard it here, all right? Support your local chappy. Send them a message, send them some money, organize that with the school, And most importantly, pray. All right? That's you listening. You pray. And we will pray. Look, as we close our time tonight, I want to ask you a question that I didn't prepare you for. I'm going to throw you off a little bit. I just want you to talk just a little bit about what your favorite part of the Just Brass program has been. I mean, look, probably hard to choose. There's just so much good stuff about this program. But can you just, even in just a nutshell, what's your favorite bit from this program or from this experience that we've started together?
I'll go first if you guys want.
Yeah, sure, Josh. Yeah.
I'll kick
We'll
off.
go
Give you guys some time to
We'll
think.
go back this way.
Don't steal my answer, that's fine.
I might. We'll see how we go. I've really loved watching some of these kids really come out of their shell. Some of these kids are really generally the quiet sort of person sometimes in class. They're not always the most outgoing person. But by doing this Just Brass program, it's given them that extra confidence that, you know, it's not like all of a sudden they're the most talkative person in the world, and you know, but you can see that it's built their confidence, and they're feeling more confident about themselves, and that then flows over into other aspects. So I've loved seeing that happen with some of these kids.
That's such a good thing, isn't it?
And I might have stolen one of your answers.
For me, it's making a genuine connection with the kids, and you can always tell the difference that makes. You know, it's the old connection over correction thing. You know, when you have a genuine connection with a student, then their behaviour reflects that, and their willingness and their enthusiasm to participate and to achieve to the highest level that they can just skyrockets.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's the best part for me, is being able to make a genuine connection with the kids.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's about relationship, isn't it?
It is. It's
Yeah,
100% about relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, and the music is just a way for us to be able
Exactly,
to...
exactly.
Absolutely. How about you, Luke?
I've probably got two.
Oh, okay.
I think some of the relationships we're going to build with families has been really great, and getting to know. We've had some families who have been with us since the beginning, which is nearly a year now that they've been in this program. So it's been good to build that connection with the families. But I think my most favourite part has been when we've had the end of term concerts,
Yes.
and particularly the first one where we get the whole audience ready, and then we walk them in from another room. And particularly that first concert where whoever was hosting on the night sort of got the crowd revved up, and they were all clapping and cheering. And the kids, as they were walking in, they were sort of really taken aback that this is, they're the ones who are coming to perform, and this is all for them. And
Yeah.
They'd also just gotten their uniforms as well, so they
New
all came out
shirts,
in their
Yeah,
Just
that's right.
Brass shirts.
Just giving them
They
their
walk
Yeah.
they walk so
They
tall.
walk proud. Oh yeah,
Oh, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that night. It was just
It
absolutely
was
epic.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. So good. Look, thanks, guys. We wanted to give those of you out there, just a little bit of a window into the Just Brass program. Thank you guys for being here, Josh and Peter and Luke. And if you want to support the Red Shield Appeal, you can go to the link in the description above, and your dollars that you donate through that link come back here to Carindale to help us keep this program going. So valuable, a program that supports our community, that most importantly supports the children and the kids in our community, and they're just absolute superstars, and we're so glad to be able to work with them. There's really nothing in my mind that compares to working with kids. And you guys know it. I mean, you guys all work in this program, but two of you specifically work with kids all the time, and you guys can attest to that, absolutely. So we encourage you to visit the link in the description and donate to the Red Shield Appeal, and we will just be so thankful for any support that you can give. Well, guys, thanks again for your time. We're going to say goodbye until the next time we have Coffee and Convos. So we'll give a little wave and a goodbye. We'll see you later. Bye.